Hey, Nate.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you. Grant Nelson, what kind of role do you guys see for him, or how does he fit kind of in the 4-5 range?
Yeah, I mean he's been really good in practice so far. He's going to have a little bit different role than probably anybody we've had so far. You know, he's not a guard like Brandon Miller, but he's certainly not a typical big. You know, he's going to play with the ball in his hands a lot more than what a typical big would. But he's going to set pick and rolls. He's going to roll. He's going to pop. He's going to handle in pick and rolls. He's going to play on the perimeter. We'll post him against mismatches. I mean, we're going to put him all over the floor, to be honest with you. So be a little bit different than probably anybody we've had here before, but maybe a cross between Brandon and Clowney. Not saying he's got the best of both of those, but, you know, probably a little bit more perimeter-oriented and handling it than Clowney, but not quite to the level of Brandon with some of that stuff.
Obviously, kind of a rare circumstance this offseason to have all three assistants leave. And just what was that like trying to replace them? And was it ever a little bit lonely, maybe not having anybody around for a while?
Yeah, I mean, if I had any time to think about it, maybe I would have been lonely. I didn't. I mean, it was great, to be honest with you, just because it speaks to where we've gotten this program in 4 years, to where 3 other athletic departments chose our 3 assistants to go lead their basketball program. So, you know, super happy for Brian and Charlie and Petway, you know, and they all deserved it, and I'd be following their teams close this year. But, you know, it made for an interesting offseason. And then, you know, the amount of player turnover, it got real busy there in a hurry. So I think we've done a great job replacing those 3. I love our current staff. I think they're working really well together. They've got great chemistry. You know, it gave us a chance to bring in some fresh thoughts, ideas, which we did. But, you know, we had a great staff before. I think we've got a great staff now. Yeah, and I didn't have many days off this summer between trying to hire staff and trying to put a roster together. We had a lot of work to do this summer. But I like where we're at. I love our staff, and I like our roster. I love the guys we have on the team. So I think despite the work we had to do, I think we got it to where we needed to get it to.
Hey, Coach, I think it's been about 3 months since Mo Diabate's injury. Just do you have an update on him? And also, I think Mo Wagyu, we didn't see him do much today either.
Yeah, so they both had similar issues where when they came, you know, something came up in the physical process. And I think Clark does a great job. Our doctors, between Clark and Dr. Bittner and the orthopedic doctors up at Andrews, they do a really good job making sure that guys are healthy, and both those guys had something come up in the process. So, you know, Diabate had the knee surgery. He's coming. He's no longer in a brace. He's doing basketball skill level. He's still not doing anything live, but he's able to pass, dribble, shoot, do some of that stuff, and we'll gradually get him in. They're both, you know, a month, give or take, away from being in live stuff. Wage, something similar too. He had kind of through the process, had procedure done on his foot. So he was in a boot for a while. He's out of the boot. He's same thing. He's able to do some ball handling, shooting, all that, but nothing live yet. So hopefully within another month or so, give or take a little bit, we'll have both those guys back and add to our front court depth, which we need right now.
Calling card of last year's team was just the chemistry across the locker room. Just with all the turnover you've already mentioned, how do you build up that chemistry kind of in this time while also getting the guys ready for, you know, on the court?
Yeah, we had great chemistry last year. I think that's part of the reason we were number 1 in the country and had the year we had. We know that comes with the culture you build. I think we've done a really good job with both the transfers and the freshmen, making sure they're really high character kids. You know, we started to get involved with some and backed out just because we didn't want to bring anybody without real high character into the program. So our guys have done a great job with themselves, just getting together off the court. You know, we've got 3 guys back, 3 scholarship guys back from last year with Pringle Aaron and Rylan. I think, I said Aaron. I meant Pringles, Sears, and Rylan. Those three guys have done a good job. And then Aaron, who I mentioned, come in. He's fifth-year guy. He has the extra year. He's had some leadership. So I think between great leadership, guys doing things off the court, we did have our team retreat that we do every year that I thought really brought our guys together. Just different things off the court, and then also having them play with all different guys all summer, putting them on different teams so they play with each other. But really just having great guys that like to see their teammates succeed. They're really happy when their teammates are successful while at the same time competing, understand that the competition and practice is making both them better, which in the long run will make the team better, which in the long run, as we've seen here, when your team's really good, we got a saying, when the tide rises, all the boats rise. The 2 years we've won the regular season and conference tournament both, or we've had two guys drafted both those 2 years, and they both improved their stock pretty significantly. So, everybody wants to see themselves improve, but in basketball, you don't do that without the team being great. Or for the team to be great, you got to have great chemistry, and everybody's got to be really happy for everybody else's success. So I think we've gotten a good head start on it. These next 6 weeks of practice are we're gonna have to really do a great job building the team chemistry as well.
What kind of growth have you seen from Rylan over the course of this offseason, and how do you kind of see his role increasing this season?
I mean, he's gotten a little taller, for one, so there's actual physical growth. There's other areas of growth as well. He's shooting the ball really well. He's much more comfortable in our system. He's much more comfortable speaking up. When you come in as a freshman, we were playing high school last year, it's a lot different. Now that he's played in college, he's comfortable with how we play. He's comfortable speaking up, talking to the younger guys. He's more aggressive, attacking the rim. He's better on defense. Just his overall growth's been really good. And, in talking to his dad in high school, he made a big jump from his freshman to his sophomore year. And he had a really good freshman year, I thought, for us. Obviously, we had some other freshmen that were, had the second pick in the draft. So we had the 21st pick in the draft. They were both freshmen with him. So he walked in a pretty incredible freshman class. But he himself had a really good year. I mean, if you look at what he was able to do on the number one team in the country, most freshmen in the country would have traded that. Probably 99% of them would have traded spots with him for sure. So he had a really good freshman year, but we anticipate a big jump going into his sophomore year. He's really been shooting the ball at a high clip here lately too.
Was there more roster turnover this offseason than you were expecting, or is it just kind of part of your job now where you're going to have to do a lot of roster change?
There was definitely a little bit more than what we probably expected or anticipated, but talking to some of the coaches out there, some of the rosters get 100% turnover one season to the next. So, I mean, it's the fact we've got 3 out of 12 guys coming back is, not as many as we'd like, but it's a little bit par for the course with what's going on, especially with the success that we had with, nobody really expected Clowney to be gone after 1 year. Well, he ends up being the 21st pick in the draft. So, for us to be able to replace him with a guy like Jaren Stevenson, I think Jaren's real similar to Clowney. If Clowney hadn't left, we wouldn't have been able to go get Jaren. Jaren is looking, to be able to step in, play right away. Clowney going in the draft, open that up. Plus, he saw what we did with Clowney. So, the success that we had with the players that we had leave helped open some doors in the recruiting that really helped us with some current players, and it's going to help us with some players we're recruiting in the 24 class as well. So, no, there was definitely more turnover than we anticipated, but I think that's the case with most of the coaches in Division I basketball right now.
I was actually going to ask you about Jaren and get the reclassification process and how you see him fitting in with the team.
Yeah, he came in, and similar to Mo had to do a little rehab on an injury we didn't know about until we went through the physical process. So he wasn't able to get in live stuff immediately, and he didn't get here till the second half of summer. So he's only been going live really since we got back in the fall, kind of after Labor Day for about a month. He's been great though. I mean, he's similar to Clowney. Obviously, no two players are exactly alike, but they're both 6'10", can both move on the perimeter, can both be great defensive players, and Jaren's still learning defensive system as they all are, to be honest. But he's a great kid. They're real similar in that they're both really coachable, want to be coached, great attitudes about them. And Clowney shot it pretty well, and Jaren's shooting it really well. Clowney had some stretches there where he missed a lot. He had 2 stretches during the year. I think me and him were talking when he was back for the Texas football game. I hadn't realized. I think at one point he missed 19 in a row, and another point during the year he missed 21 in a row. He's making the point, if you throw those two stretches out, I was over 40%, coach. Well, all 40 of those shots came in game play, so you had to count them. So I think, we might, hopefully Jaren doesn't go through as many, those long stretches and ends up shooting a little higher percentage than Noah did because he's a really good shooter. But they're similar. I anticipate him being a huge part of what we're doing, just with 6'10", athletic, moves well, can play on the perimeter and shoot it. He's exactly what we're looking for in the front court.
Like last year, you kept that last scholarship open. How close were you to filling that, and how do you see the backcourt depth with Javon obviously leaving and losing a backup point guard?
When we lost Javon, that kind of opened that last scholarship up. We didn't really get that close with anybody. We were never, it's open. If last year it was open and Cosby took it halfway through the year, I don't know if we'll have anybody like that this year. The option's there if we do. If not, it's fine. We never really played 13 guys in a rotation anyways. It does, I think some teams last year had 10 guys on scholarship. I think that's, when the transfer portal and all this new stuff happened, I think that's one of the kind of byproducts of this. You kind of leave some spots open for transfers. Well, then you're not going to fill them with guys that aren't good enough. And then a lot of scholarships are just now not being used kind of across the country. The fact that we have one opens, really, there was high major coaches that we played against last year that had 3 open scholarships. So, no, we never got that close to using it, and we'll see what happens with it this year.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thanks. Appreciate it. Good seeing you guys again.